Hello, I'm Henry, and in this video I'm going to analyze a game between Johannes Zukertort and Wilhelm Steinitz, I don't know, maybe it's like this. So as a part of my training program that I'm creating, I'm gonna analyze my games, and I'm also going to make an analysis of master games. I can call it like this. So this was a game that happened in 1886, January 11, and it was a game for the World Championship, and it happened in New York. So I'm currently rated 1300, something like that, on chess.com, and on daily, and that's the old correspondence, I think, and then around 1996, something like that, on rapid, and then blitz a lot lower. And well, just to give you an idea of how poor my analysis is going to be. But anyway, as I said in the beginning, this is part of the program that I'm studying, so here we go. So white opens with d4. It's a move that I make a lot of times because most of the times when I play d4, I'm playing the London. That it's the only opening that I know more or less two moves. I know that it's d4 and then after bishop f4, no matter what black plays. So that's my knowledge, that's about it. Okay, so black responded with d5, pretty normal, standard response. And then white is already challenging black with queen's gambit. I'm reading here to help me, but this is something that I already heard of course. Not just by the TV show, but because it's used a lot too. I didn't start to use this opening yet, but it's nice, so maybe I will try in the near future. So let's continue. I guess this name is, according to the engine, D10 Slav Defense. Okay, so this is go above my knowledge, like almost everything in chess. I just started I think this is my 4th month after more than 35 years of not playing or even thinking about chess. So let's continue. Okay, e3, it's a nice move. It releases some space for the bishop if it wants to go to d3 or even e2. So that's good. Okay, so we have now bishop f5 from black, threatening to take here, but usually it's not something that people make this move too. It's just to gain some space here in the center, controlling e4. So it's preventing white from going here. It has now 2 defenders, and white has none for the time being. At the same time, if white now plays this bishop d3, it can take. Of course, we have the queen then to make the exchange, but well, it's a normal move that I catch on some of my games too. Okay, so white goes with knight c3, according to something that I learned recently, when the pawn on c. When we are talking about the relationship between this knight, the knight b1, and the pawn on the c file, it's always better to have this pawn ahead and the knight before, in the knight under or back, whatever. My English is very limited, so anyway, because if it was played in reverse and the knight was out first, the pawn was blocked by the knight. So this is a good setting. Let's continue. So e6, defending the d5 pawn. And now we have knight f3, standard move, trying to open space to castle. Okay, so knight to d7. Okay, it's a move that maybe wants to go here after and put some pressure on this pawn. And I think for now that's it, because here and here, sorry, with the touchpad and it's hard to make the arrow sometimes, so these two squares are defended by this pawn, so that leaves this thing for the knight, this square. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so a3, it's preventing the bishop to come to b4 and threaten the knight with a pin, because the knight is in front on this diagonal of the king. Okay, so bishop goes to d6. This is a nice position for the bishop because it sees all these squares. Okay, and now white goes and threatens the bishop. So after all, it was not such a good move, maybe because now it has to go to another place. Okay, if this was part of the plan of black now to bring the knight maybe to a5, it was good. If not, it was a not so good move. And now we go with b4, making this beautiful like pyramid. Ooh, there I am. This nice pyramid. And now we have, okay, e5, so this is trying to break the pyramid, or even coming on e4 to make a threat to this knight and gain some space on the king side. Okay, so the bishop from f1 is finally out to e2. And now the knight is out, so this is developing. I think both players are preparing to castle. But first we have the bishop to b2. Okay, this is a move, I think, for the future. If this diagonal opens up, it's going to be an attack if black makes the castling on the king side. Okay, so this was something I was thinking. He had the choice to take here, but then it will take here, so it would just break here, and now like this is gaining space. This square is very good defended with the bishop, with the pawn, and with the knight. Okay, so let's continue. What we have next? Now the knight has to move, so it goes back. It could go here, but then it will allow an exchange, and black has two defenders here on this square. It could go here, but here it was not defended, so then if this pawn would go, they would have to go again back. It could go here, but we always try to not put knights on the side because the number of squares that it controls is less. And to go back was not a very good option because he couldn't castle. Okay, so here comes h5, so black is now, let me see what is going on here. Okay, so black is going to try to gain some space. This pawn is defended by the knight, so taking with the bishop, even if it has the queen too, it's not good because there are these two defenders. Okay, let's continue. So preventing the bishop from coming to g4, I think. If the bishop would come here, this would be a threat. So okay, so the next move was knight to f3. So I don't think by now with this move h5 and now the knight to f3, I don't think black is thinking to castle on the king's side. We will see. I'm analyzing this game as I'm seeing it. I never saw this game before, so I'm always trying to understand what is going on in each move. So a4, okay. Let's see if I understand. So gaining space, it's defended by the knight and the rook, and it's probably thinking about going with b5, maybe. If it takes, it's a pawn break, gains more space. All this queen side is completely almost dominated by white pieces. So okay, so the knight comes now. Maybe he's thinking, okay, here no, because of the pawn, maybe here h4, then maybe to attack here g2. Maybe this bishop will take on h5, the queen will come out, this pawn is going to advance. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this was something that I was predicting. Let's see the response from black. Okay, I was thinking about this one too. Okay, so it's like I'm thinking like a champion of the world, but I am not. I'm just a beginner. Okay, so next, okay, of course, g3 to try and kick out the knight. So knight now, let's see if he comes here, one attackers, two, so maybe it's not such a good, place to be. So let's see how black handles. Okay, so okay, I didn't thought about this one because, well, where you go from here? So he's making check. So the king will have to move here, and now the knight goes what? Back. He has to sacrifice the knight. I don't know, maybe taking this pawn on e3, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Okay, the king is there, so white, okay, taking the pawn. It was the best option as far as I could see. Anyhow, maybe now white takes the knight with the pawn, because the knight is threatening, of course, a fork on the queen and on the king. Let's see if I can put these arrows here. Okay, so of course it's taken. Okay, so white can't castle. That was, I think, the goal of this sacrifice. Okay, so okay, now of course things that I was not seeing. This is a great move because it takes back a pawn. And this bishop is really annoying at this position. The king is very in danger like this. So let's see. Okay, white attacks the knight, and now what black cannot come here because of this. How can black defend this bishop? Maybe not defending, so maybe he goes to h4. Let's see. Now it goes back. Okay, h4 is not a good option. Okay, so now the queen goes to the same file as the king, maybe trying to take the king back to the middle. Okay, so this movement is, of course, with trying to put the rook on g6, giving a check to the king, and the king has to move, and so it will take the queen. So let's see how white. Okay, of course, something that I predicted too. The king has to go to the middle again, even though the rook threatens the queen has to move. Okay, so now we have a double attack on this h3 pawn that is defended just by this h rook. So let's see, white takes. Okay, it's a good move. Now black can take with the queen or with the pawn. So if it takes with the queen, it loses this advantage here, but if it takes with the pawn, continues to control the center and support this pawn on d5, even though the a pawn is gonna be left alone, but there is no b pawn already for white, so I think that's probably what we are going to see. Is exactly. And now white goes and threatens or makes a proposition to exchange the rooks. Okay, black takes and check. It's a good move. The king has to go to e1. Okay, now the knight comes to continue the attack. This is very strong because it's threatening the queen, is threatening this pawn that is only defended by the queen. So let's see how white manages. Okay, the exchange, they take with the bishop takes back, and now the knight comes to try to defend. So here it's not so good, so let's see what are the intentions. Now the queen comes to e7, so it has this file where it can go, not to h4 of course. Okay, to g5 maybe it's not such a compelling move too, and if it's to make an exchange on f6, it could go like that. Okay, maybe this is something that I still don't understand. Okay, the knight is threatening the rook, this is clear. So a defense move to h6. Now what does black want with this move? Okay, maybe protect this pawn a little more, because there the bishop is on a5. Okay, so we see g5 on the board, and g5. Now this knight has to go back to where it came from. Okay, so the queen is in danger. And now, okay, black is starting to leave no space for white. This rook here is defended well, but this knight, the knight on d2, can take the rook on f3. And then, of course, he would take with the pawn, with a fork, and get back the piece, because you have to move the queen, not there. Maybe here. Okay, let's see what happened. So, okay, the knight doesn't take because it knows it's not a real advantage. So it goes here to defend, of course, this pawn that was undefended. Okay, so rook b8, taking control of this open file. Okay, so the king has to move, trying to escape what is coming from black. Okay, so the pawn storm is real. We have f5, and since white doesn't have any pawn on the f, g, and h file, it cannot threaten this bishop because now he's trapped. Okay, but he's trapped in a very good way because he's defended 2 times by the pawns. Okay, h5, trying to get the pawn maybe with some intentions of, or seeing if black was distracted and it will take, but there is 2 defenders, so that was not even a bad move for a beginner. Okay, so the f4, it's coming, or it's already here. Rook h1, trying to threaten this pawn, even if it's defended by the bishop. Queen f7. Okay, so if takes, with check, and this is all open. Okay, so it's not very good. So the rook come to e1. I think white is trying to defend everything, but well, here is the pawn takes e3, and now white e3 check. So now the knight needs to take that pawn. Okay, the exchange happened. They are more or less with equal material now. Even if white took 2 pieces, but black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 pawns, 5 pawns, and the bishop. Okay, let's continue. So black now pins now because the knight is here. So if the knight was not here, it was a check, and the queen was gone, but it's not like that. So the queen, well, black knows it's near the end. Even I can feel that. So there's an exchange of a rook for a queen. Okay, now the bishop. Now I guess it would take with the h5 pawn. No, check. Okay, so I didn't give it time to analyze and see this move, even if they have the... No, they don't have, because the knight is pinned, so it's a great move. You cannot take 2 because, yes, there it is, the check. So the king has to move. Okay, now the knight is taken back, even though now this file is open. So if black is not careful, well, black is not careful, no, black cannot do nothing. The rook can come to h8 we check, the queen will have to move, and that rook, it's gone. But now, okay, there's this move of bishop d2, okay, e3, threatening the bishop. Bishop goes back. Okay. Now the rook. Well, I think this is a good time for this rook to go to h8. We check. No, still not. Okay, maybe there's something that I'm not seeing here, but it's okay. Let's just, okay. Black. Okay, now it goes. One move ago, I don't know. Maybe it was better, but maybe I'm wrong. So now king to e6, check. Okay, so the king joins the party. And now we have an exchange that it's not so good for white. Now check, okay, protected. Now the knight can take, even if the pawn can take it back too. So it's not a problem. So, okay, the game is over. I guess white resigned. Yes, white resigned here. Okay, and why it resigned? Because this could go here, now this one here, yeah, and it's the end. Even if you go here, you can go here. Okay, the bar is, yeah, of course, I'm sure there are checks here that I can, so this rook would come to the party too, and well. Okay, so this was an analysis of a game between Johannes Zukertort and Wilhelm Steinitz. I hope I'm pronouncing the names well. And well, see you in the next video.